All right, everyone, I appreciate you being with us on today's episode of Living with Integrity. We've got a very special guest, Mr. Todd Reed, who is the new Chief Operating Officer at Integrity Dental Services. We're going to sort of mix it up today and do a spin on this episode, and we're going to pepper in a little bit of dental, but Todd and I are just going to sort of talk life for a little bit. We're going to talk about previous experiences, workplace environment, culture, which I think is something right now a lot of people are missing on. And we're just going to sort of hit on some various topics, let you guys sort of take a chance to get to know Todd, who's come to us from Hendricks Automotive Group with a great 25-year career with them. So, Todd, I appreciate having you as a guest today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. So, Todd, if you would, just take a quick minute. Let's give everyone just sort of a high-level background, if you would, walk them through how you got started in your career, what you've been doing into the transition into integrity.
Started my automotive career in 1999 in Jacksonville, Florida. My best friend I grew up with, his name's Tafi, had been in the car business and had some great success. It's funny, we used to make fun of him when he got in the car business and, call him a lot of unnice, pleasant car business names. And he got a little tired of it one day and he sent a fax over of his pay stub.
A fax? What is that?
Yeah. I know a lot of people might not remember what those are. But he did very well and started a great career. And shortly after that, moved down and a couple of my friends as well. And luckily, it was led into a 25-year career that was very prosperous. It was very humbling. And it was also just a great experience to become a much better teacher, to help people. As you grow in your career and anything you do, I think early in the career, it was money driven. It was an excellent opportunity as a young man to earn a good income. But the more you grow and the more you learn, you see the effect you have on people teaching and growing and being able to teach as many people as you have the opportunity to in the car business to change their lives and help them grow was probably the most fulfilling part of it.
Absolutely. So as you work through your career, I know you just transitioned over from Hendricks Automotive Group where you were in senior management and you had a team working under you. And let's talk about, for example, really the last 2 years post-COVID. Let's talk about culture. And this is for anyone listening, whether you're in the dental space, automotive space, marketing, manufacturing, you name it. I think one thing right now that I'm witnessing across a lot of different industries, companies that are thriving, obviously they're not like in the AI space where it's just a hot topic, but companies that are thriving and have low attrition rates and doing well, a lot of it stems back to good culture. Talk to me how you really, how you value culture, and how the culture and the landscape, how you're transitioning from an automotive space of operations, obviously, but into the dental space, and what your thoughts are on how important culture is to an organization.
Culture is everything you have. It sets the tone for the leadership, and that trickles down into every employee that you have. People have to have a smile on their face when they come to work. And that is a daily grind to make sure that you're engaging with your people, you're helping your people. And that's the biggest thing. It's servant leadership. It's leading from the front, not leading from the rear. And it's being out with your team every day. And in automotive, it starts with daily meetings, daily motivation, and doing one-on-ones with not only salespeople, managers, your service department, and your parts department, but it's just being involved. It's being there for them, knowing you have their back, and knowing you have the best intentions in mind for them.
Absolutely. And I think culture, obviously, when you talk about morale in the workplace, we talked about in the beginning of your career, compensation is important. We all have bills, we have families, we have goals. We all want to make money, but we want to make money ethically in the right way. Yeah. And I think it's important. I can tell at Integrity, and you've been in, you can attest to this for the last few months, as we've brought people in, we're in growth mode and we're hiring. And we bring people in that look really good on a resume. And they interview very well. And it's like, what made you choose Integrity? Because that, let's say individual A, there's probably multiple opportunities for them. And we've been blessed to hire some amazing people who have chosen Integrity. And you ask them, hey, what was the difference, that really made the deciding factor? What made you decide Integrity over company B or C? And when you hear from them, when Rob or Todd or one of the executives at Integrity gave me that company tour, and we always try to purposely schedule those around lunchtime. Mm-hmm. And the reason is not just so they can come in and see people eating. It's because they get to see how many people are eating together from different departments, different cultures. We're sort of a melting pot in integrity, and walking around and people wanting to talk, seeing people smile. In the very beginning of my career, I didn't put as much value on that. I thought I just got to grow, work, make as much money as possible. And then, that way we can pay people. When I thought the more you pay people, that solves all problems. Like I said, pay is important. But Todd, you and I know I've really been meeting with you and we've been talking about, as we're going to continue to grow, we go out, we get more orders, we keep bringing in these people. But the hard part is, how do you maintain culture when you go from 10 employees to 20 employees to 50? Now we're starting to approach 300 employees. What's the roadmap look like for you on sort of leading into your department heads? Because obviously you can't deal with every individual on a daily basis. What does that roadmap look like for you on putting a strategic plan together so that we all know what you believe in culture and how important culture is, but to make sure the team under you is hears that message loud and clear and it's bleeding down?
It starts with one. This was an easy transition because the culture that you've created at Integrity completely matched the culture we had at Hendrick. Like I said a second ago, it's people first. You're very engaged, and that is the expectation of all the team members there as well. And trickling that down into your department heads is having meetings with them, making sure that they're not having issues and making sure you're helping them with their issues. Because when they know they have support, they feel better. And what that also gives them a good example of, when they have support from their leadership, they're giving their team their leadership too, because it gives them the example. You set the example for them to go and do the same things you're doing for them. And it's as simple as going around every morning and saying good morning to everybody. How's your day started? Do you have anything I can help you with? It's just these really simple things that I think a lot of people miss. These meetings we're having a couple of times a month with the department heads, of going over issues, going over any of their problems, but also talking about the good that all their teams are doing. And if you look for good, you're going to find good. And you look for bad, you're going to find bad. It's a very simple strategy to live by and to deal with. But it's when you're talking about good with people and constantly but constantly giving them a different perception on what they need to look at their team. And yes, there's always going to be issues, but what are you catching people doing well? What are you doing? How many times are you going out and patting someone on the back and say, hey, I saw the work you did. It was a great job. I saw how you helped one of your teammates. Great job. And it's a little bit of recognition and just catching people doing things good, but talking about that with your leadership team all the time. But we have good people, and having good people with a good heart. And that's been the biggest point of the team that you built prior to me being there, was you have a lot of good people. You can't teach, you can't teach how to be a good person.
Correct.
It's kind of in somebody. And a work ethic is something that's really hard to teach people. You've done an excellent job of hiring really good people that have a great heart. And those are the easiest people to help and to help become better leaders, because they understand it. It's what they want to do. And everyone in our team wants to see everybody do better. So it's just having that constant reinforcement and constantly talking about, hey, we have some issues. Yes, we got to solve those problems, but what are we doing good too? And having those conversations.
And I think a lot of that too, in the personnel we have, people have done a great job of, let's talk about the word pride for a minute, not being prideful when you do a good job, but being able to take constructive criticism and putting your ego aside and pride that maybe you're in a department and the person beside you is maybe outperforming that week. We're letting, instead of people like talking bad on the person or shutting down when someone else gets praised, we all lift each other up, and it's motivating. I always tell people, competition to me, competition drives, it really drives performance. And if you don't have a competitive landscape where people are competing in a good, level playing field where everyone has the same opportunities, okay, but a competitive landscape. And that's why, I started my career in sales and operations. I'm a very competitive person. I come from a sports background. I love sports. I just love competing. You and I, when we have time and we play golf, we like to compete against each other, but it's the same thing in the work environment. But you can't be a sore loser. And when I get back to sore loser, we may not be on the golf course, but it's still seeing people get accolades and recognition inside the company, letting that say, hey, I saw, John Doe over here get a great performance review. He's crushing it. He got a great bonus. I want to be John one day. And we have a path forward at Integrity where we're hiring from within, promoting from within, and recognizing. And I think that all sort of plays into, there's no one set formula of what to me makes a successful, profitable company. But if I were to start to line out the equation of blank plus blank plus blank plus blank equals successful, profitable company, culture's in the mix, attitudes in the mix.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing at the end that I would want to subtract out is pride. Because that's one thing I'm telling you, I've seen some of the most successful people who were really cutting edge, crushing it, but their pride got in the way. In business, we learn the term sunk cost. Sometimes you get down a path, you've put all this effort in, you've built this business plan, we're going to crush it. You get 60, 70 yards down the field, the game plan's not working. The coach has to swallow pride of the offensive coordinator and say, guess what? We got to run the damn ball. I had this great game plan. We're going to 5 wide, throw the ball. The defense is adapted. Guess what? It's okay. And same thing in business. Yeah. You may spend money. You may have a game plan. We're going to go this route. We've bought machines before. We've been all in on this technology, some stuff with 3D printing. We've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars. You have to, as a leader, say, guess what, guys? I'm going to swallow my pride and we're going to adapt. And that same thing is for employees. Yeah. It's okay to be wrong. Yeah. We all fail. We all make mistakes. And it's us as leaders to lift those people up. I think it's more important to, I'm not going to say celebrate, but more important to interact and engage with an employee when something goes bad as it is to just sit there and pat them on the back and clap when they do good. Right. And I think in our industry and in America, in our culture, we are too wrong as Americans to clap and recognize good, but we're so quick to point the finger at bad. And I read one thing, Albert Einstein one time, he said he was in a classroom and he started writing on the chalkboard. I think it was like 1 + 1 is 2, 1 + 3 is 4, all the way down. And the first 9 he did were perfect. And then he purposely wrote 1 + 9 = 11. And everyone immediately pointed the finger. That's wrong. No one spoke up and said, good job on the first 9 he did. But that to me summarizes culture in America. News headlines, everyone makes mistakes. My God, I could sit here and talk for the next week on things I've done wrong. I know you, same thing we talk about, but you learn from them. And I just don't understand where we went left in America, where it's like, let's become a culture that loves to point the finger and criticize. Yeah. Because I don't know anyone who's perfect. And that's what you and I have been talking about so much. And I think that's such, and this all, guys, I'm bringing this back in because all this bleeds into culture. If you have a culture where people are not afraid to make a mistake, that's when innovation occurs. Yep. If you're not afraid to get outside your comfort zone and try something new, knowing that, hey, if this does go awry or I don't succeed, I'm not going to get bastardized by upper management. I'm not going to lose my job. If I can sit down and say, hey, this was my hypothesis. This is the educated reason why I did this. And I had every intent of it working, but we went wrong here. Yeah. I love that. I know you do too. That's how this country was built.
Yeah. I think great leaders view mistakes and failures as good coaching opportunities.
Absolutely.
It's not a time to jump in and criticize and make someone feel terrible or like you said, bastardize somebody or, make them feel bad. It's a time to jump in and coach. It's a time to jump in and say, hey, we didn't do good here. How could we have made this better? And next time this happens, let's go this direction instead of going the direction we went. And I just think they're really good coaching opportunities. It's funny. One of my favorite lines is pride never hurts or pride never helps. It only hurts.
Correct.
And as we can get away from pride and just see value in team is what makes people grow. And that's the culture. It is a culture we have in Integrity. It's a culture that you have founded and established, and you lead from that, and you are that culture, and that's why everybody else has that. I was talking to Natalie today, and she brought that up, and we were talking about culture, and she said, it's Rob has put everything in his life into this business, and all of us have too, and that starts from him, and we care about this place just like it's ours, and that's having that teamwork and having people completely feel like they're part of the family, know that they're part of the family, but also have their leadership be there to support them and not crush them when they make mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I've learned that the hard way over my career. At 25 years in automotive, I wish I would have known that when I got in as a young man. And I, like you said, I've learned that from doing it the wrong way. I've learned it from making those mistakes. I've learned it from having poor conversations to be very polite about it, about multiple mistakes with people. And they're just, as you learn and you grow and you learn people better, they're coaching opportunities. So
Absolutely. One thing I want to talk about for a second that ties into this as well. When I was talking with you and having lunch and sort of going through an informal interview process before you came over, noticed on the Hendrick name tags, you guys had different sort of lines and colors.
Mhm.
And I asked you, because I was like, what is this? Like, I thought it was some weird design on the name tags that Hendricks came with, when you guys have been, pretty cut and dry, very nice uniform approach, Mr. Hendricks and the organization. I mean, from the top down, I mean, shout out to them, kudos to them. But I looked and said, Todd, what are these lines and colors? I'll let you sort of talk about that, because it plays in, and my God, it's brilliant from an organization that big. When you're coming from a multi-thousand employees, billion-dollar company, the attention's into detail.
Yeah.
And it's important. So let's talk about that.
It's something Mr. H had been working on and had in process for probably 30 plus years. And it's called Managed by Strength. And it's a personality assessment. And what it does, there's 4 colors. There's yellow, blue, green, and red. And the purpose of it is for teammates to be able to see what personality they're talking to when they're talking to one of their teammates, and be able to understand who they are and understand how to communicate with them well. High reds are very short. They don't need a lot of explanation. High reds, you can talk to a high red in very few words, get right to the point, and they're going to take it and run. A high yellow needs a little more explanation. They're a little more talkative. They like to have a full understanding of what's going on a little bit more. So when you're addressing a high yellow, you have to slow down. For me, I was a high red. I have to slow down and converse a little bit more. I have to be a little more explanatory than I would be with someone who's a high red. But it was an excellent concept, and it works very well, because you go in and you teach everybody what those colors mean and who you're communicating with. And as you constantly talk about it, people get to know different personality types. And it's totally set up for great communication amongst the teams, and it works really, really, really well. And it's a great conversation piece, especially with customers, because everybody asks about it. Why is that red? Why is yours blue? Why is that yellow? And it's a great conversation piece as well. But it works great for communication amongst the team. And I think it goes back to what we were just talking about too, is communication. We do a very great job at Integrity of communicating. We keep everybody abrupt of what is going on in our company, where we're going, and what we're doing. Mr. Hendrick did that as well. We're so much communication from them, and I've learned so much of that from Mr. H, of just communicating and being transparent with everybody. And you do the exact same thing, and it cuts out all the confusion. I think when people are confused and they don't know what's going on, they start to create their own things in their own mind of what's going on, and a lot of times that normally isn't what reality is, and a lot of times it's probably not the best. But communicating everything to the leadership team down to everybody in the company is what makes everybody be on the same page. No one's in the dark. And it makes people much more relaxed, and it just creates a much better environment.
And it's over the years getting to know you and seeing how you were running the dealerships. And I had the pleasure of meeting your direct boss, senior boss, Ryan, who's not only a great boss to you and leader, but became a friend of mine. And I really got to see what culture you guys had, and the leadership from the top, and accountability. And that brings us to our next topic, accountability. And for the years when I was sort of, getting to know you and understanding you, not only as a friend level, where we built a great friendship, but seeing sort of like, okay, what's accountability look like? What's expected from Todd? What does Ryan expect from all these different GMs and accountability? And he reminds me a lot of Nick Saban, where it's like, we expect greatness, but we are going to do everything in our power to coach you and give you the tools needed for greatness. And I really saw that in you. I saw you understand that we're going to have expectations. Damn it, we're going to have high expectations, but we're going to coach the hell out of you. We're going to be here to support you, but these are the parameters, and you better stay between them. And we're not going to zig and zag. We're going to go straight. And this is what the Hendricks organization of Mr. H believes in. It's the same thing. I sort of looked at it as an indirect mentor of mine, even though I don't know Mr. Hendricks. I really saw that culture in you and Ryan, and understanding that at Integrity, we have to be a company of excellence. Yeah. And we just have to really make sure that as the company grows, the bigger we get, we can't lose sight of the target.
Right.
And we have to understand that, you can't put the cart in front of the horse. And sometimes I'll be the first to admit it gets really hard.
Yeah.
You start traveling for all these work shows, you've got meetings, you're not there in the office to meet with the teams. You're trying to manage by spreadsheets and emails, you're making calls. There's nothing better than an ass in a seat. And I say that like, I'm a numbers guy. I love spreadsheets. I love looking at numbers, but I'm an operations guy, so I sales at heart. And I think that's one problem we see a lot is these finance guys think a spreadsheet tells them everything.
Right.
This number's not right, cut. This number's good, add more. I always tell people, and I got to be careful how I say this because I have a lot of friends that are senior CFOs and great numbers guys, and I don't want my phone blowing up once this goes live because, guys, I have nothing but respect for you. But it's such an important piece, but it's not everything. I think the numbers give us a place to look, but the guys that are bootstrapped in the office every day, the guys that were in the dealership every day, that have optics, they have their finger on the pulse to know what's going on. Maybe you look at a spreadsheet and you see a number and it's an outlier. Okay, let's ask questions. Why? Right. But let's not just shoot from the hip and just shoot, then aim. Let's find out why. But I feel like so many people are just like, it's like employees become a roster, let's say 1 through 100. And all of a sudden finance says, hey, we've got the call down. We need to cut a $150,000 budget cut. And it's like, oh, well, line item 31, person A, we don't even know who they are. Right. They fit that number, cut them. Yeah. And it's like, boom, that's done. Like, you can't operate like that. These are humans, one, that work really hard, have families, individuals. We need to understand why. And I never, ever have been one for cuts on personnel. I understand budget cuts. I understand shareholder value. Trust me, I love our bottom line to be sexier and look better than anyone. But at the same time, too, we chose to hire that person. Yeah. So if leadership's having to cut them, now don't get me wrong, there's stuff people can go awry and do totally wrong, right. That's on their own. Yeah. But I'm saying if we're strictly having to cut them because of a numbers reason, because we're not making the money or the profit we are, that's on leadership. Yeah. Why are we not? Okay. Did we go wrong in the beginning? Did we overpay them? Have we gone wrong not setting up to succeed, to generate enough profit? Are we not charging enough? Are we not busy enough? All these other things come into the equation. But I feel like so many people are just so quick when numbers go down, boom, let's start cutting people. Because these are humans. Right. These people work, they put everything. When things go super right, are we running in there giving everyone a raise? Yeah, we try to at Integrity, but other companies, it's like things are super, super good, they get pizza. Things are bad, they get fired. That's a messed up business approach. And that's one reason I went into business for myself, because a previous place where I'd worked at one of my other jobs, I witnessed that way too often. And that kept me up at night. And I'm like, what kind of, man, like if I was an employee sitting there and I see the guy working beside me, he's been here for 8 years, busted his ass every day, taking 1 or 2 weeks, yippee, vacation a year, done everything, but he just got cut because the owners say we're not making enough money. Why would I want to work there?
Right. You wouldn't. And that's the separation. And I think that's why we're starting to see an influx in growth in our team of a lot of people have been in a lot of these labs that are just like that. And they come and they see our team, they see our facility, and they talk to people and they understand that they're not just a number. And people that work in companies that are just numbers, one, are not happy. They dread going to work every day. And it's hard to give it 150% when you don't like what you're doing or you don't feel cared for. We talk about this all the time. And this is something that Ryan used to put into my head all the time, and Mr. Hendrick, is that we're not in the car business, we're in the people business. And I say this to our team at Integrity all the time. Yes, we're in the dental business, but guys, we're in the people business. We have to take care of our people, and our people have to be upfront. If we choose to hire someone, aside from them going completely left and doing something off the wall, listen, if they're not doing their job and they're not living up to their response or their expectation, they're not living up to their what they're capable of. Yeah. It's because of poor leadership.
Bingo.
It's because we didn't take enough time to teach. We didn't take enough time to train. We're missing the boat on picking out the good stuff and encouraging people. There's a huge list of things that you can run down of what you're missing, but at the end of the day, it's a leadership issue. It's the people in charge. It's our fault if we're not helping our team. And like I said, it's a wide variety of different things, but the teaching, the coaching, and the training has got to be every day. The encouraging's got to be every day. And I think if you do that, you have your failure rate is much lower than not within just operating off a spreadsheet. One of the Hendrick Automotive Group's core values is accountability at all levels. And that starts at the top. You got to be able to look yourself in the mirror and take accountability for all of your actions. And if someone that you lead isn't doing well, you can't go yell at that person first. You can't go jump on them first. You got to go look in the mirror and say, what have I missed with them? What coaching session did I miss? Where did I miss a mistake that I didn't coach? What have I not been doing for that person to be able to perform optimally? And it's just a long look in the mirror, but you got to be accountable for your team. And I've seen this a ton in automotive, and I think it's in any business. You have people that fail to go look in the mirror and say, what did I miss with my team? Instead of just, like you said, hey, employee 34 has got to go.
And it happens.
Right. It happens all the time. But what did you not go teach employee 34? What have you not mentored employee 34 on? Like, what have you not done to help that person grow, or conversations that have you not had to allow that person to operate in their strength zone? And knowing your team very well allows you to put people in the right place so they operate in their strength zone. And when you get people in their strength zones, they're happy, they have fun, and they're super productive. And they make a bunch of money.
Absolutely.
What the hell's wrong with any of that?
And it ties in, like, I've seen so many dental labs. And guys, I want to say this. I've seen so many great dental labs, but I see so many labs that are not run like a business. And I can't tell you how many labs where they manage out of fear. Let's say that the owner was a great technician. He became the manager by default. And when they walk to the lab, every tech is like on pins and needles because they're afraid to see the owner. He walks in. Most of the time, he only ever speaks is because he needs something or he's there to fire someone. What kind of place is that to work? Like, when I walk through, and the same thing with you, in any company, whether it's Apple, whether it's Integrity, Walmart corporate, it doesn't matter. People should be happy to see the leadership, happy to see the ownership. Like, why are they sitting there, with the rear end puckered? Like, my God, why is he here? What's going on? Like, I high five people. Let's go get a cup of coffee. Let's talk. And it goes back to morale. It goes back to culture. Like, stop, guys, listen, stop managing out of fear. If you want to have a lower attrition rate and you want to keep employees and you want to be able to hire and grow, if you're not hiring employees, guys, you're not growing. Okay. So if you want to grow, you're going to have to hire people. So listen, you're not going to get, we've hired some of our best people at Integrity because people who work for us said, hey, I see this job's posted, or we have a need. I know someone who's a close friend of mine that would be perfect that's in this space. What better way? I tell our sales team, there's no better new customer than referral from an existing doctor because they believe in you. What better way to hire someone than a referral from one of your own who believes in the company's core competencies and value? It's the same thing. If I walk through Integrity every day, or Todd, you walk through as COO and everyone's scared, looking down, timid, that's not good, but it's going on in every industry. So those of you listening, I get emails all the time and people asking, like, what are you doing to grow? How are you hiring such good people? There's rule number one. Stop managing out of fear. Walk through randomly and pick an employee who's mid-level. Take them to lunch. Ask them how their kids are doing. Go break bread with them. Take them to play golf. It's okay. Like, it's not going to ruin your P&L if you go spend a few $100 a month on your employees. I guarantee you'll make it back 10x. And it just freaking drives me crazy.
Well, it's a lack of care. It's a lack of care, and it's what you just said is people managing their business off of P&L and not managing off their people. When all you care about is a bottom line, it's very tough for you to create relationships with your team. And it's just caring about people. It's simple as that. And it's so many people miss the boat because it goes back to, what kind of person are you? Are you a person that cares about other people and like to see other people do well? Or are you a person that only cares about yourself? And when you only care about yourself and what you have going on, it's really hard to be a good leader and to keep people around because people don't want to deal with that. So, and it's, I don't want to deal with it. You don't want to deal with it. I worked at a dealership for a few years. The guy that owned the place was very rarely there. And the guy who was there all the time, who owned the small chunk of it, when the actual owner would come in the building, he'd come down and say, so-and-so is going to be here at 10 a.m. Don't look at him. Don't talk to him. And I thought in the back of my head, I said, what are you talking about? He doesn't want to talk to anybody. Like, he doesn't want to meet his team. And goes back to Mr. H. Mr. H he's got 104 rooftops, right? He gets to his deal. He gets to visit every dealership about once a year at a minimum. And he loves being out. It takes up a ton of time, but he walks through it. He walks in the back of the dealership. He starts with his technicians, and he walks through and he shakes everybody's hand. And when they see him, everybody's excited. It's not, oh, Mr. H is here, let me run. Everybody they surround him because he engages everyone. And he doesn't sit and talk to everybody about numbers and what they're doing. It's, hey, how are you? What can I do for you? And those are the questions he asks. And it's the exact same thing when you walk through any of your facilities, right? Everybody's excited to see you. Everybody jumps up and wants to talk to you and wants a bit of your time because you mean that much to them and they know you care. And it's just the simple act of caring about people. And it's so overlooked in business right now. And it has been for years. And as we move forward, I think people sacrifice a little bit of money to be in a place where
absolutely.
They're cared about and they know someone has their best interest in mind.
And longevity.
Right.
And guys and girls listening, when you do that, like Todd just said, and people flock to you and they talk like Mr. H, because you can talk to them about life, everything but work. When you do need to sit down and have those tough or serious conversations, it's much easier. And I promise you, performance goes up. I tell people all the time, like, I could come in right now and probably find 5 different ways from Sunday to make cuts at Integrity to make more profitability in the short term. But in the long run, it doesn't work.
No.
Like, I'm so tired of seeing companies make all these cuts for short-term wins when they don't look at the long-term ramification, because then when you're like, okay, we're not profitable, or we're not as profitable as we want right now in this area. We need to cut this department. Okay. But we need to regrow this department to become profitable. So let's cut people in this department. Let's kill the morale of who's left. Let's hope we get the company back up, and then we're going to go rehire people in this department to get back to where we were. Instead of, then you're going to spend money on, headhunters to bring people in. You're going to, there's money. You spend money every time you go to hire someone to bring them up to speed because you want to have that ROI for that employee. Instead of saying, okay, maybe we're not where we need to be right now. Let's pump some money into this person. How can I coach that person up? Now, guys, if you catch someone stealing, they're just constantly like late to work, those types of things, I get it. Trust me, you cut them. They don't deserve to be there. But if you have let's say in our industry, you've got a really good designer who's great at designing cases, but we're going to have to cut him because he's not busy enough. Well, that's a problem from the sales department.
Right.
Why am I penalizing that designer?
Right.
Sales team ought to be selling more so they have more to design.
Yeah.
Why is the sales team not selling enough? Let's talk to the head of sales.
Yeah.
Okay. Are they not doing well? Maybe marketing's not helping sales the way they are. Yeah. Maybe the leader at the top, they've constrained the budget so much they don't have the resources they need. Let's work backwards. Yeah. But it kills me. Like, I've seen so many companies, and hey, sometimes I'm thankful they do it because we've had great hires that go in and fire and cut key people who are great workers. And the only thing is we didn't have enough work for them. But you're going to fire them, but you want to get busier. So what are you going to do? When you do get busy, are you going to go find version 1B of that person? Like, it's just like, there's no thought process. It's half-assed, and it's piss poor management in the sense of like, let's penalize this person who took a risk on the company. It's just as much the company taking a risk on the individual as the individual coming to the company, because that's how they pay their bills. So they take care of their family, pay their rent, their groceries, everything that they need. And it's like, I don't know. It just drives me crazy. And to the other side too, you see people all the time, they'll leave a company for a better opportunity, but the company's never supposed to hire someone who can better themselves in that spot.
Right.
I don't know. And like I said, I don't want to go off a rant. Go on a rant right here or get on my soapbox, but I just feel like it causes, oh man, I've lost 2 people in my life to suicide because of losing a job. And that's one reason that's so near and dear to my heart that could have been prevented. Right. Lost their job, God rest their soul. And it's like looking at it. And I sat there and questioned myself, where they were working at. I'm like, why did they lose their job? And it goes back to wasn't them as bad workers. It's
Right.
piss poor management.
Yep.
But management took the easy route to make themselves look good. They cut bait.
Yep.
And for those of y'all listening, man, take care of your people. Your people will take care of you. You know, we're not individuals. We're not LeBron James out here who's playing for ourselves. We're a company. We're an individual. You know, we're the strength of like the spokes that make up a wheel. That's what gives it strength. And that's what makes it roll in harmony. So I know it's been a lot. It's been a great message. And sort of the topic today of this podcast is sort of who we are. And something Nick Saban said one time I loved. It's like, we are who we are because we do what we do and how we do it.
Yeah.
And I think that plays very strong into anyone in the message listening, whether you're executive, business owner, leadership, or someone middle of the pack working that's striving to be better. Who are you?
Yeah.
Who is the company? And it's who you are. Does that play into the vision and the core competencies of who the company is? So Todd, with that, thank you so much for your time. Guys, girls, everyone listening, thank you. This will be available soon. We really want to give a shout out to our partners at the Subaru of Gwinnett studio at Business RadioX. The team here with Mike and everyone's been incredible. So we appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.